First contact gone wrong. The sun rose over Solaris Prime's central dome, casting long shadows across the agricultural fields that stretched beyond the colony's perimeter. For 15 years, this world had been humanity's most distant outpost, a symbol of our species' determination to reach for the stars despite the vast emptiness between them. 30,000 colonists called this place home, their lives built on the red soil of a planet that had once been considered uninhabitable. Governor Ileana Reyes stood on her balcony, breathing in the artificially oxygenated air as she did every morning, watching farmers and technicians begin their daily routines. The terraforming project was 37% complete, ahead of schedule, a rare accomplishment for such a complex endeavor. Children born here had never seen Earth, knew blue skies and natural oceans only from videos and virtual reality simulations. Yet they thrived, adapted, embodied the resilience that had carried humanity from cave-dwelling primates to interstellar pioneers. Governor, her assistant's voice came through the comm, unnaturally tight. We're receiving an unusual reading from the outer sensor array. Define unusual, Ileana replied, her gaze shifting to the distant mountains that marked the edge of the settled region. Unknown energy signature approaching from the system's edge. Nothing matching our database. It's massive. Ileana's morning ritual ended abruptly. Alert Defense Command. I'm on my way. By the time she reached the colony's command center, the atmosphere had changed from routine efficiency to controlled panic. The main display showed a massive object decelerating from superluminal speeds, its shape defying conventional design logic. Not a ship in any recognized sense, but something else, something that seemed to bend and shift as it moved. Are they responding to hails? Ileana asked, taking her place at the central console. Major Takeda, head of the colony's modest defense force, shook his head. No response on any frequency. We've tried standard protocols, emergency channels, even basic mathematical sequences. The object continued its approach, now visible as a cluster of interconnected structures, obsidian black against the starfield. As it neared, secondary objects began detaching from the main mass, smaller craft, hundreds of them, accelerating towards Solaris Prime. Evacuate the outer settlements, Ileana ordered. Move everyone to the central dome. Major, ready whatever defenses we have. Takeda's expression said everything about their chances. The colony's defenses consisted of a handful of orbital platforms and a single squadron of outdated fighters. Protection against pirates or corporate raiders, not an unknown alien armada. And get a quantum burst message to Earth, she added. All data we have. Tell them. She paused, the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. Tell them we've made contact. 20 minutes later, the first of the alien craft entered orbit. There was no declaration, no ultimatum, no attempt at communication. The sky burned as energy weapons, unlike anything in human experience, cut through Solaris Prime's meager defenses. The orbital platforms died in silence, their crews never having a chance to report what killed them. On the surface, chaos erupted. Colonists abandoned their belongings, rushing toward the central dome, as sirens wailed across the settlement. Children cried, parents carried what they could, the elderly were helped by neighbors and strangers alike. Humanity at its best, even in the face of the unknown. In the command center, Governor Reyes watched helplessly as the colony's sensors tracked the approaching doom. Is the message away? Yes, Takeda confirmed. Quantum Relay confirmed reception at Sol Relay Station. Earth knows. Then we've done our duty, she said quietly. Now we fight. The alien craft descended through the atmosphere, their hulls seemingly unaffected by the heat of entry. They moved with impossible grace, as if gravity were a suggestion rather than a law. The colony's fighters rose to meet them, pilots knowing they faced certain death, but launching anyway, humanity's defiance incarnate. They never had a chance. The alien weapons reached out, not with projectiles or energy beams, but with something that distorted space itself around the human craft. One by one, the fighters imploded, crushed by forces beyond human comprehension. On the ground, alien craft hovered over the colony structures. No weapons fired, no bombs dropped. Instead, a wave of energy pulsed outward from each ship, passing through buildings and people alike. Where it touched, matter simply unraveled. Molecular bonds failed. Atomic structure collapsed. People didn't die. They disintegrated, painlessly converted to their component elements. In the command center, Governor Rice and her staff watched in horror as the wave approached. Their last act was to upload the colony's sensor data, a final warning to Earth about what was coming. Then Solaris Prime was gone. Not destroyed, not conquered, erased, as if it had never existed. Only a single alien glyph remained, burned into the planet's surface where the colony had stood. A spiral containing 3 diagonal lines that resembled claw marks. A message, a warning, a declaration. Admiral Marcus Chen stood before the United Earth Assembly, his weathered face displayed on screens across the chamber. At 62, he had spent 40 years in service to the Earth Defense Fleet, fighting pirates, quelling corporate wars, and maintaining the fragile peace between Earth's fractious nations. Never had he imagined standing here to deliver such news. The destruction of Solaris Prime was total, he stated, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. Based on the data transmitted before the colony's fall, we face an unknown species with technology far beyond our current capabilities. Their attack was unprovoked, without warning or attempt at communication. The chamber remained silent, 300 representatives from Earth's nations and corporate states absorbing the gravity of humanity's first contact with alien intelligence, violent, overwhelming, and final. The alien force appears to have departed the Solaris system after the attack, Chen continued. However, the pattern of their approach suggests they came from the direction of the Arcturus sector. 3 more colonies lie in that path toward Earth. President Amara Okafor of the United Earth Government rose from her seat. What are your recommendations, Admiral? Chen's expression hardened. Madam President, the Earth Defense Fleet currently consists of 12,000 combat vessels of varying classes, with approximately 8,000 support craft. We've never faced a threat of this magnitude, and our existing forces are insufficient. What are you proposing? Total mobilization, Chen replied without hesitation. Every ship capable of mounting weapon systems, every corporate vessel, every national craft, every private military contractor. We convert civilian ships, accelerate production at all shipyards, and activate every mothballed vessel in the outer system depots. Murmurs spread through the chamber. What Chen proposed would cripple Earth's economy, halt interplanetary trade, and consume resources at an unprecedented rate. How many ships? Okafor asked. If we strip our defenses to bare minimum, recall all distant patrols, and implement emergency construction protocols, perhaps 100,000 within 6 months. Okafor shook her head. Not enough. Not if what happened at Solaris Prime is any indication. She turned to address the assembly. Representatives of Earth, we face extinction. I propose the following. Immediate declaration of unified emergency powers under Admiral Chen's military authority. Complete industrial conversion to war production. Suspension of all corporate rights of refusal. Mandatory conscription of all ships and qualified personnel. The debate lasted less than an hour, the shortest in the Assembly's history. The vote was unanimous. 1 month later, Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned dreadnought Defiance, watching as ships gathered in Earth orbit. They came in all shapes and sizes, sleek military vessels bristling with weapons alongside converted cargo haulers with hastily mounted gun emplacements. Mining ships repurposed as carriers, luxury liners transformed into hospital ships, science vessels reconfigured as electronic warfare platforms. Current count. Chen asked his executive officer. Commander Sophia Rice, daughter of Solaris Prime's governor, consulted her display. 227,000 and rising, sir. The Jupiter shipyards just released another 50 corvettes, and Mars Defense is contributing their entire home fleet. Chen nodded. And Project Spearhead. The science team reports 70% completion. They've successfully adapted the captured Centauri technology to our weapon systems, but they're still working on the power requirements. They have 3 more days, Chen said grimly. Then we move, ready or not. The fleet continued to grow. Nations that had been enemies for generations now contributed ships to the same battle groups. Corporations that had spent decades in cutthroat competition now shared proprietary technology. Humanity, faced with extinction, found unity in desperation. 3 days later, Chen addressed the assembled fleet commanders, their faces filling screens around his briefing room. We've received telemetry from the automated outpost at Proxima Centauri. The alien force has been detected approaching from the direction of Barnard's star. Their numbers are consistent with what attacked Solaris Prime. He activated a holographic display showing the projected course. We will intercept them here, at the Kuiper boundary. This gives us the advantage of fighting in a region we know intimately, with supply lines to our manufacturing centers. What about their technological advantage? Asked Admiral Zhao of the Asian Confederation Fleet. That's where Project Spearhead comes in, Chen replied, nodding to Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, the project's lead scientist. Tanaka stepped forward, his thin frame belying the intensity in his eyes. We've adapted the quantum field technology recovered from the Centauri ruins last year. In theory, it should disrupt the spatial manipulation abilities demonstrated by the alien craft at Solaris Prime. In theory, someone muttered. We haven't had time for extensive testing, Tanaka admitted. But basic principles are sound. The field generators can be fitted to approximately 20% of our larger vessels. Chen retook control of the briefing. The equipped ships will form our vanguard. If the technology works, we press the advantage. If not, they buy time for the main force to engage. He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each commander. Make no mistake, this is humanity's last stand. There will be no retreat, no fallback position. We win here, or Earth falls next. The briefing concluded, and Chen returned to the Defiance's bridge. Through the viewports, he could see the armada stretching beyond visual range, a metal forest floating in the void. Ship lights blinked like stars. Engines glowed like newborn suns. 700,000 vessels, the largest fleet ever assembled in human history, all pointed toward a single purpose: survival. Final count, he asked quietly. 704,392 combat-capable vessels, sir, Commander Reyes replied, plus support craft. Chen nodded, allowing himself a moment of pride. In 3 months, humanity had accomplished what should have taken decades. Whether it would be enough remained to be seen. Signal the fleet, he ordered. Operation Iron Shield commences in 30 minutes. As the massive armada began to move, transitioning into formation for the jump to the Kuiper boundary, a message spread through every ship, displayed on every screen. One of ours was erased. We answer with everything. The largest mobilization in human history was underway. Humanity's counterattack. The human armada emerged from superluminal transit at the edge of the Kuiper boundary, a ragged line of ships stretching across millions of kilometers of space. For a moment, silence reigned as sensors recalibrated and navigation systems locked onto local reference points. Then the reports began flooding in. Contact. The sensor officer's voice cut through the quiet hum of the Defiance's bridge. Multiple signatures detected at bearing 047 Mark 023. Admiral Chen leaned forward in his command chair, eyes fixed on the tactical display as it populated with red markers. Numbers? Still calculating, sir. Density makes individual counting difficult. But the officer paused, his voice faltering. Conservative estimate places their numbers at approximately 12,000 capital ships, with smaller craft numbering in the hundreds of thousands. A murmur rippled through the bridge crew. Even with humanity's unprecedented mobilization, Those numbers represented a formidable force. Configuration matches Solaris Prime records. The officer continued. Same energy signatures, same spatial distortion fields. Chen studied the display, noting the alien formation, not a conventional battle line, but something more organic, like a massive flock of predatory birds. They moved in perfect coordination without apparent communication, shifting and flowing as a single entity. They haven't altered course, Commander Reyes observed. Do you think they've detected us? Chen's expression remained impassive. Oh, they've seen us. They're just not concerned. He opened a channel to the fleet. All vessels maintain position. Spearhead Group, prepare to advance on my mark. Remember your training. No heroics, no individual glory. We fight as one or we die alone. Across the massive fleet, officers relayed orders, weapons systems powered up, and shield generators hummed to life. 700,000 ships, from massive dreadnoughts to converted mining vessels, prepared for humanity's first interstellar war. Sir, the communications officer interrupted. We're receiving a transmission. It's coming from the alien fleet. Chen straightened. Put it through. The main view screen flickered, then resolved into an image that caused several bridge officers to recoil. The being that appeared seemed to shift and flow, its form never quite settling into a fixed shape. Multiple limbs, or perhaps tentacles, writhed around a central mass that might have been a torso. Where a head should have been, 3 glowing orbs arranged in a triangle pulsed in sequence with its speech. Humans. The word came through clearly, though no visible mouth formed it. You have assembled your weapons before us. An impressive display of primitive technology. Chen rose from his chair, facing the screen directly. I am Admiral Marcus Chen of the United Earth Defense Fleet. You attacked our colony without provocation, without communication, and without mercy. We demand an explanation before we commence hostilities. The aliens' orbs pulsed more rapidly. Explanation. Your existence requires no explanation for its termination. You are a disease spreading across the stars, consuming and destroying. We are the cure. We've colonized a mere handful of worlds, Chen countered. Harmed no sentient species. Your ignorance does not excuse your nature, the alien interrupted. We have observed your kind for centuries. Your history is written in blood. Your advancement comes through destruction. Your unity appears only in the face of greater threats. You are a cancer in this galaxy, and we have deemed your excision necessary. Chen's jaw tightened. And who appointed you our judges? We are the Ascended. We emerged from our evolutionary cradle 10 million of your years before your ancestors descended from the trees. We have shepherded 1,000 species to enlightenment and eliminated 100 threats to the cosmic balance. Your potential for violence exceeds all others we have encountered. Then you've never truly understood humans, Chen replied. Our capacity for destruction is matched only by our capacity for creation. Our history contains war, yes, but also art, music, literature, science. We've clawed our way from mud huts to the stars through ingenuity and determination. Your words change nothing, the alien stated, its tone devoid of emotion. Your extinction has been decreed. That you face it with such numbers merely confirms our assessment of your threat potential. You will be remembered as nothing more than a failed evolutionary branch, a cautionary entry in our archives. Chen smiled thinly. If you're so certain of your superiority, why send a message at all? Why not simply attack? The orbs pulsed slowly, almost thoughtfully. Curiosity. We wish to understand why you would mount such a futile defense when surrender would be more logical. Then allow me to educate you about humans, Chen said, his voice hardening. We don't surrender our right to exist. Not to tyrants, not to disasters, and certainly not to self-appointed cosmic judges. If we're going down, we're taking as many of you with us as possible. He gestured to his communications officer to cut the transmission, then turned to Commander Reyes. Signal the fleet. Execute Operation Iron Spear. Across the human armada, engines flared to life. The fleet did not advance as a single unit, but instead split into predetermined battle groups, each with a specific role in the complex dance of combat that was about to unfold. The alien fleet responded, its organic formation contracting like a muscle, focusing its strength toward the approaching human vanguard. "They're taking the bait," Rise murmured as the tactical display updated. Chen nodded grimly. "Project Spearhead vessels, initiate quantum field generators. All other ships, maintain formation and prepare to exploit any openings." On 100 specially modified vessels throughout the human fleet, engineers activated the experimental technology derived from the Centauri ruins. Quantum field generators powered up, creating invisible bubbles of altered physics around each ship. In theory, these fields would disrupt the spatial manipulation abilities that had made the alien weapons so devastating at Solaris Prime. Theory became reality as the first alien energy weapons lashed out, targeting the lead elements of the human vanguard. Where the colony's defenses had been instantly obliterated, these ships held firm, the quantum fields surrounding them absorbing and dispersing the attacks. "It's working," Rides exclaimed, unable to contain her excitement as the data streamed in. Chen allowed himself a tight smile. "For now. Signal the fleet. Execute Maneuver Epsilon. Let's see how they adapt." The human vanguard abruptly changed course, accelerating directly toward the center of the alien formation. Simultaneously, two massive flanking groups of smaller, faster vessels swung wide, aiming to encircle the alien force. "They're responding," the tactical officer reported. "Alien formation is shifting to counter our flanking maneuver, but they're maintaining focus on our spearhead vessels." As expected, Chen nodded. They recognized the quantum field technology as the greater threat. "Signal the Zeus Battalion. They are cleared to deploy NMR weapons." Throughout the fleet, specialized vessels activated their nuclear magnetic resonance cannons, weapons designed not to destroy ships but to disrupt the delicate molecular bonds of advanced electronics and biological systems alike. Developed for use against rogue AI vessels, they had never been deployed in actual combat. The NMR beams lanced out, invisible to the naked eye but devastating to their targets. Several alien vessels suddenly lost cohesion, their seemingly fluid structures freezing, and then shattering like glass. "Effective hits," the weapons officer reported. "NMR weapons showing 17% effectiveness. That's better than projected, sir." Chen leaned forward, studying the tactical display intently. "They're adapting already. Look at the energy patterns. They're modifying their molecular structure to resist the NMR effect." As if to confirm his assessment, the next volley of NMR weapons proved less effective, with only a handful of alien vessels affected. "Sir, they're concentrating their fire on our NMR ships," Commander Rice warned. "We're losing them fast." Chen's expression remained impassive. "They've identified our capabilities and are neutralizing them systematically, just as we would." He opened a channel to the fleet. "All vessels, execute Scatter Protocol Omega. I repeat, Scatter Protocol Omega." Across the battlefield, the human fleet suddenly fragmented, ships breaking formation and dispersing in seemingly random directions. The maneuver appeared chaotic, even panicked, but it was precisely calculated. The alien fleet hesitated, its perfect coordination momentarily disrupted by the unpredictable movements of thousands of human vessels. "Now," Chen ordered, "execute Operation Prometheus." In the hearts of 50 unmarked vessels scattered throughout the human fleet, engineers removed security locks from specially shielded chambers. Inside each lay a device that represented humanity's darkest scientific achievement, a manipulation of fundamental forces that should never have been possible. Prometheus devices armed and ready, came the report from the Special Operations Channel. Awaiting final authorization, Chen entered his command code into his personal terminal, then looked to Commander Reyes. "Execute." Reyes hesitated for just a moment, her finger hovering over the confirmation key. "Sir, once deployed, we can't." "I'm aware of the implications, Commander," Chen interrupted gently. But we're beyond conventional options. Execute. She nodded once, then pressed the key. 50 points of light bloomed silently across the battlefield. Not explosions, but something far worse. Where each Prometheus device activated, space itself seemed to fold inward, creating rapidly expanding spheres of altered reality. Matter caught within these fields didn't burn or shatter. It simply ceased to exist, converted instantly to energy by the fundamental rewriting of physical laws within each sphere. Hundreds of alien vessels vanished in the first seconds, their advanced technology offering no protection against what was essentially a localized change in the universe's operating parameters. The spheres continued to grow, consuming alien and human ships alike, a calculated sacrifice that Chen had authorized without informing the fleet. Prometheus effect expanding at predicted rates, the science officer reported, his voice tight. Estimated 19% of alien capital ships eliminated. We've lost approximately 42,000 of our own vessels. Chen closed his eyes briefly. 42,000 ships, with crews numbering in the millions, all gone in an instant by his command. The weight of that decision would haunt him forever, but the alternative was extinction. Signal the remaining fleet, he ordered. All ships execute maximum emergency thrust away from Prometheus effect zones. Priority targets are alien command vessels. The battle devolved into chaos as both fleets scrambled to escape the expanding death zones. The perfect coordination of the alien force fragmented as individual vessels attempted to navigate the rapidly changing battlefield. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're detecting unusual energy buildup from the alien flagship. It's massive." On the tactical display, a surge of energy radiated from the largest alien vessel. Not an attack, but something else. A pulse spread outward, touching each of the Prometheus effect zones. Where it contacted them, the spheres began to contract, the altered physics somehow being forcibly normalized. "They're neutralizing Prometheus," Rise breathed. "How is that possible?" Before Chen could respond, the alien commander appeared on the main screen again, its orbs pulsing rapidly. "Impressive, humans. You have weaponized reality itself. Few species have achieved such technology, and none have deployed it against us." Chen stood, facing the screen defiantly. "We will use every means at our disposal to survive. Your technological advantage is significant, but you've underestimated our resourcefulness." Perhaps the alien acknowledged. "Your species deserves further study before final judgment is rendered. We will withdraw to analyze what we have learned here." "You're retreating." Chen couldn't hide his surprise. "Tactical redeployment," the alien corrected. "This encounter has provided valuable data about your capabilities and limitations. The next will be conclusive." The transmission ended abruptly. On the tactical display, the alien fleet began to disengage, its vessels regrouping into their strange, organic formation before accelerating away from the battlefield. "Should we pursue?" Rides asked, disbelief evident in her voice. Chen shook his head slowly. "No. We've bloodied their nose and given them something to think about, but we're in no condition to press our advantage." He surveyed the damage reports flowing in from across the fleet. "Signal all ships to stand down from combat alert. Begin recovery operations for damaged vessels." As the human fleet regrouped, the cost of their victory, if it could be called that, became clear. Nearly 100,000 ships lost. Millions of lives ended in the desperate gamble to protect Earth. Yet they had achieved what seemed impossible. They had forced the technologically superior enemy to withdraw. Admiral Chen stood alone in his quarters later, staring at the casualty reports. Names and numbers scrolled past, too many to read individually, too important to ignore. Commander Rice found him there, offering a cup of coffee as she entered. "The fleet is assembling at the designated coordinates," she reported. "Repair operations are underway. The wounded are being transferred to medical ships." Chen nodded absently, still scrolling through the reports. "Sir," Rice hesitated, then continued, The fleet is calling it a victory. The first interstellar enemy humanity has faced, and we drove them back. At what cost? Chen asked quietly. And for how long? They'll be back, Commander. Better prepared, better informed about our capabilities. And we'll be ready for them, she replied firmly. The shipyards are already incorporating what we've learned into new designs. The quantum field technology is being refined. And now we know what we're facing. Chen finally looked up from the reports, his expression softening slightly. Your mother would be proud of you, you know. Ileana never backed down from a fight either. Reyes smiled sadly. She always said that humanity's greatest strength wasn't our technology or our numbers, but our stubborn refusal to accept defeat. She was right. Chen set down the reports and moved to the viewport, gazing out at the assembled fleet. Despite their losses, it remained an awe-inspiring sight. Humanity's combined might gathered in one place, united by a common threat. We've bought time, he said finally. Time to prepare, to improve, to adapt. The Ascended believe they've observed humanity completely, but they've only seen our wars, our conflicts, our destruction. They haven't truly witnessed what makes us unique, our ability to create, to innovate, to overcome seemingly impossible odds. He turned back to Reyes, determination hardening his features. Send word to Earth. We need to accelerate the defensive preparations, and I want Project Prometheus expanded. If it gave them pause once, an improved version might do more. And the official report? Reyes asked. Chen considered this for a moment. Tell them the truth. We faced an enemy with technology far beyond our own. We suffered massive casualties, but we held our ground. We protected Earth, and we learned that even gods can bleed. As the battered fleet began its long journey home, news of the confrontation spread across human space. The details varied, growing with each retelling, but the essential truth remained. Faced with extinction, humanity had stood together and refused to go quietly into the night. One colony had been erased, and humanity had answered with 700,000 warships and a defiance that echoed across the stars. The message was clear, to the Ascended and to any other force that might threaten human existence. We are here. We will not surrender, and we are just getting started.